Right, hi guys, I'm going to show you how to make some buttercream. So first of all, in the bowl I have some 100 grams of soft margarine. So I'm just going to use a spoon to mix that up and soften it. Now the technique I'm using is to go up and down with the bowl, like that, up and down, getting a good spin through of it, just so it's nice and softened. At that stage, if you want to make buttercream, you will need to sieve in some icing sugar. Now, icing sugar tends to want to go everywhere when you sieve it, so the best thing I can say is to use a spoon to push it through rather than kind of beating it like a tambourine. Okay, so just push it through the sieve because it's quite a thick substance to push through. Okay. Okay. At that stage, what you can then do is just mix into the butter using, I draw a kind of 8 shape, figure of 8, just to stop it from going everywhere. And I also use the back of the spoon to press down into the butter so that it kind of mixes with the icing sugar a little better. So this sort of technique of pushing down on the spoon. Now what you should end up with is a nice soft creamy buttercream, like so, in a bowl, that you can then add to your piping bag when you are ready. Now if you feel it's too runny, you can add more icing sugar, or if you feel it's too hard, you can add more butter. Now you're going to take your cakes here and you're going to put your buttercream into a piping bag. Now I have got a piping bag with a star nozzle and it's got like these jagged edges on. To put a nozzle into a piping bag, you just push it into the inside of the piping bag and use some scissors to cut it. And then if you push it over the side of a measuring jug, it should then just allow you to fill it with your buttercream. So I'm then going to just spoon the buttercream inside the piping bag. Now at this stage what you can do is you can squeeze it down to the end of the piping bag, like so, getting rid of any air bubbles and pressure, and I just give it a little tie off at the end, just so that it's nice and neat. Now, a technique in order to pipe onto your cupcake here is to use the technique where you start with this edge here and you squeeze around the edge and you swirl until you get to the top. And that way you should end up with a nice swirled buttercream. So you start from the edge, squeeze gently, follow it round in one circle, and then like a sort of Misty Whippy ice cream, tip to the top. And then at that stage you can decorate with sprinkles or whatever you would like. So this is the finished product.